Hey, so this I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. This is going to be a strange assignment, but I'm going to give you something that I think you can sink your teeth into. I try to make assignments that there's no way to be wrong as long as you give effort. You know what I mean? So how you engage with the thing I'm about to talk about, the thing that's on the screen right there, and then I'm going to give you opportunities to practice objective research. So this website, Adfonts Media, I'll put the that address in the on the assignment. This is a bipartisan, objective um, media group or group that observes the media. And what they do is they take media stories, whether it's well, actually we can see them right over here. There's websites, articles, TV, video, podcast, and audio. I'm going to take off the podcast, so I'm going to unclick that. Okay, cool. And you see that there is a general shape, and that shape is going to make sense in a minute or two. I'm going to take away websites for a second, and that's TV. Okay. And this here is websites. So you see the severity on websites and articles kind of, well, again, like I said, it'll make more sense. All right. So it's a graph that measures news stories, anything about the news or politics or whatever's going on in the world. And it takes away, it strips away the who is sponsoring the outlet, whether it's TV or whatever, the reputation of that outlet, if they're a liberal or a conservative or whatever, and it just looks at the message and then it grades it two ways. First one we're going to do is uh, you see right there it says middle or balanced and biased. Well, it can go left to the right. So this is dead center. So dead center would mean there is no interpretation towards conservative or liberal. On this way, the further right you go, skews right, strong right, hyper partisan right, that is conservative or right. Left is skews left, strong left, hyper partisan left, most extreme left. And anyway, it pulls that way. So that's kind of easy to see. Um, Let me see if I can zoom this over here. Let me move over. Anyway, can I move that? There we go. There's the most extreme on both sides. So that's how we see things go. Things move. Next, we're going to go up, down. Up here, so at this level, I don't know if you could read that thorough fact reporting, fact dense analysis. That is what happened, who, what, when, where, how. It is observations on the ground, it's statistics and numbers, it's what's the weather today, not what's the weather tomorrow. That would be analysis. What is a measurement today? Something like that. As we move down, there's going to be a bunch of arrows in here. You see, this becomes a mix of fact reporting and analysis or simple fact reporting. So just simple facts. But that word analysis is important because it's going to be contrasted with another word here in a second. Analysis is a great example is forecasting the weather for the next 7 days. On the seventh day, the accuracy of that forecast is less than tomorrow and the next day. And people say stuff about meteorologists and other people all the time, but they are amazing. I mean, the work that can be done to analyze that stuff is pretty right on. And analysis could be during sports, or it could be economics. The Straits of Hormuz right now are closed. That's going to make gas go up, the price of gas. So these things where you could just go, this causes that, the difference between causation and correlation and all that stuff, to go, these things actually cause other things to happen is analysis. Now, analysis can be wrong, but at least there's a method to it. And analysis can be like there can be a rogue storm out of nowhere, a rogue wave in the ocean or something like that. But analysis is here's my criteria for how I look at things, kind of like the scientific method. And then new information comes in and I run it through, or whoever runs it through their analysis, how they look at stuff. And they come up with a result. Okay, I'm going to clean off some of these arrows. Well, first of all, before we leave, at mix of fact, you see where everybody is? Everybody is still only between skews and skews. There's nothing wrong with two ways of looking at things. There's nothing wrong with that. If if a family's going on vacation, you have two parents. One parent could be more concerned with memories and taking pictures in front of everything, and the other parent can be concerned with the money. That's fine. In fact, that's healthy, so they can balance each other out. You know what I'm saying? And that's good. Now we're about to move a little further down, and this is analysis or wide variation in reliability. And this is where it starts to get a little scary. You can find analysis that sometimes is wrong. Sports talk radio is a great example. They just shout opinions. And if one guy says one thing, the other person says the opposite and just does because they can't possibly agree. So the spread gets wider. You see where they flock: strong left, strong right. And there's a big emptiness in the middle. And that is the problem. Sports talk radio, if they start talking about Michael Jordan and LeBron James, about who's the GOAT, this is the stupidest conversation ever. You know, comparison is the thief of joy. That's like saying one flower is more beautiful than another flower. Just smell the flowers, just enjoy it. But it keeps people riveted, and then there's lots of shouting, and it's almost fun. Now the really dangerous stuff's going to happen. You see how analysis was, there's a method and information comes in. Opinion is the opposite function of analysis. It looks out through a lens, and no matter what I think, what I already believe. And this is where things get very broad. So analysis or opinion or wide variation in reliability. Actually, dump the word analysis. Look at the gap here. It's huge. And then we start getting in the words of hyperpartisan. Hyperpartisan is different than strong. Skews just means like the vacation thing. Strong means kind of not quite inflexible, but robust. Hyperpartisan is I will not change. I'm not interested in hearing the other side because the other side is inherently wrong, and therefore I am right. And the gap gets huge. Now, the Daily Mirror is a weirdo. That is a strange newspaper in London. But other than that, you have a massive gap. After we leave this spot, we get to just pretty much downright lying. So selective or incomplete storytelling, unfair persuasion, that's a whole lot of screaming, where you could talk about something that's true, but you scream it in a way where it's just pure noise. The old idea that it's more heat than light. Heat are feelings and light are thoughts. And you see how the audiences get pulled apart. And then straight up lying, misleading info, and all that other stuff. You can click on this. So when I give you the link, you can click. There's an interactive. Is this one interactive? Oh, yeah. So you can click on it and it'll give you like 20,000 examples of, you can see how the same story is told. It's like it's like two mama birds eating worms and then going back to their nests and feeding the baby. That's gross. That's really gross. Sorry, bad example. But you got it. It's pre-digested. And if someone only listens to their side, I said if, I should say when somebody listens to their own side and they get to the point where there's analysis, which is legitimate, and opinion, which is inflexible on both sides, got to do it. Change is unlikely. Conversation is impossible. Going on a vacation with these two adults would be awful because it is only fighting. And that's important. So the general shape we're looking at here is that and that. The moral of the story is the further away you get from the truth, the more you get to the impossibility, first of all, just of lies and being lied to, but also the impossibility of a conversation. And the ability to say that somebody else who has a different perspective is worth listening to, at least, let alone if you could say the opposite person's point of view in words that demonstrate your understanding. Uh, it's kind of like an Ohio State fan with a bunch of Ohio State fans. They don't necessarily agree on Ryan Day as a coach, but man, they can't say one good thing about Michigan. Not even one thing. I had a hamburger in Michigan. It was great. Get out. You know what I'm saying? That there's sort of this on one side and on the other. If you agree slightly with the other side, they'll kick you out. So it's the concept of the other. So we're writing a word down here that's called confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is, first of all, Google it. No, don't Google it. Use AI. Use ChatGPT. And look for examples. Confirmation bias is as soon as news happens, the fact of the news happens, the desire to have an interpretation that matches what you already believe is so strong. It's the inability for people to criticize their own side and leave room for the other side. Go, man, we're going too far on this, whatever it is. And go, I think we need to get one of those guys in here. And you know what I'm saying? To balance ourselves out. Confirmation bias doesn't allow that. So, what this assignment is I'm going to throw you in a situation where you're going to pick a photograph and we are going to pretend that you are a photojournalist and you are on there on the spot. I want you to use AI however you can. Okay. I may give you small hints, but on these photographs, I want you to figure out what's going on, do facts. Okay. And nail those facts down because these are moments captured in time that actually happened, not interpretation. You are there. And then the second part is I want you to see how this photo represents a bifurcated, split in half struggle or interpretation. Like some ideologies are just, this is a fork in the road, and I can't see this another way. And maybe the moment has changed in time, but in that moment, what did this photograph mean? There are no wrong answers as long as you try. All right. Even if you, I mean, try to be like you found this in the attic and you're like, what is this picture? And like you go to ChatGPT and just describe it. Okay. The name of the file for the picture, I'm going to put a clue. Okay. So one of them, I'm just putting a name. Okay. And the other one, there's some that you're just going to be like, oh, I get it. I know what that is. Anyway, so I'll write out the assignments of what you're supposed to do, but I want to explain it first. This is you being at a place and without interpretation or analysis or anything like that. And have fun with it. I mean, these are serious pictures, so it's not like fun. But you get what I'm saying. And it's a discussion. So everybody's going to see each other's work, which is always the best. All right. Sorry, I rambled.